Hey, Kliq This fans, want to get closer to the show than ever? Join Kliq This TV. Kliq This TV offers early commercial-free access to wrestling's hottest podcast, plus live audience tapings of their show every friggin' week, and your chance to participate with Kevin and Sean in the monthly Nash and Friends watch-along show. Head to KliqThisTV.com now and get inside the show that's just too sweet.
Following podcast contains mature language and adult discussion.
You know, belated birthday wishes.
Oh, thank you.
Is what this opening segment's going to be all about. I mean, everyone already. It's Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. He's Kevin. I'm Sean. A lot of people hit you already on Twitter, but you know we have to do a proper mention here on the show.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
It's so nice. I mean, I put it on Twitter. You know, it's nice. You know, I've lived a blessed life to have that many people wish me a happy birthday.
Yeah.
So,
in honor of your birthday, I'll be taking a cruise tomorrow to Bermuda. So,
well, it wouldn't be Tom Cruise, would it?
No, I won't be taking him.
Little Mission Impossible.
I'll work in Hollywood, circa 1956. So, who were you surprised hearing from anybody in particular this past week?
No.
We're pretty much the usual suspects.
Yeah, it's like usual suspects.
Like nobody occasionally pops up out of your past. An old girlfriend.
What's weird is now that Scott has passed, is the remaining four members of the Kliq are all July guys.
They all have July birthdays?
Yeah, I'm first, Waltman's next, Michael's, and then I think Hunter's like. I'm horrible. He's like 26th, 7th, or 8th, but he's towards the end. But he's not a Cancer. Paul's,
right, because that's past the
Paul's
20,
a Leo. Yeah.
Where is he?
27th.
Yeah. Please remember this, for God's sake.
No, I mean, I know because it's marked down on my calendar, but when you're dyslexic, you don't remember birthdays. You got to write that shit down.
You're dyslexic?
Yeah.
Learn more and more.
Yeah. Numerically and alphabetically, phonetically. I had a real hard time. I was like in remedial classes and shit. I thought
before they discovered what it was, or
well, before I took one of those Iowa placement tests, I tested through the roof, and they were just like, "How can somebody that's mentally retarded score so high on tests?"
Right. Well,
that's what it was called back then.
You know, I know it's a time period.
Yeah, it wasn't special. Thanks, James.
Everyone here in the live audience. You want to be a part of this live studio audience?
Thank you.
Very easy. Just go to KliqThisTV.com, KliqThisTV.com, and sign up. You get the weekly shows. You get to be part of the weekly shows in a live taping setting. You get them earlier without commercials, and you get to be a part of Nash and Friends, which is our first premium show that we do here. We just agreed on the next guest. We can't announce it yet. We will shortly. But
once we lock them in,
got to reach out.
It's gonna be hard too because we're gonna have to go through the whole correctional facility. You know, because I don't know when Sunday's available. So.
Oh yeah, she's a little tied up.
Get out of the bag. Oops, my bad.
Was she insufferable while she was there, or in WWE? I mean, enough to get a shit sandwich, I guess. But
you know what? In retrospect, it was such a hard environment for a female to be in. Like, like Debbie Medusa, and like anybody that you know, I remember every time Medusa would when Deb would go in the back and she'd stretch, and me included, we all go, "Hey, have a little back bridge." You know?
Arch, a little arch.
Yeah, arch, Medusa, do the arch. You do the job for the chic. No, it was, you know, it was not, wasn't cool. And anybody, you know, and we all say it was unjust, it was a kidding, and da da da. But you know, that Mad Men mentality lasted for a long time, and everything.
And I think maybe Tammy's behavior certainly didn't fortify her or create a force field around herself from such jocular
Well, when
commentary.
you're sleeping with the king of heat magnets,
that's where I'm going.
You know, when you're with Sean, it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think did everybody not think that story was going to end terribly? The Sonny story.
You know, there was a couple of times I saw her pull the nose up, like throughout the years, and that's here at a con, and
yeah,
you know, I'd say like, you know, I'd be like, you know, because if anybody would have told me that Scott would have like made it to the Hall of Fame and looked that good, and you know, like had made that kind of a rebound for where he was, like, you know, 2 years before that, you know. A lot of that was Dallas. You know, Dallas really, you know, Dallas sent him in the, you know, the right trajectory, and he stayed. And but you
that
know,
Hall of Fame weekend was a little touch and go with Scott there, though, too, wasn't it? Happened to be working on a book with a friend of yours, and that the day before was a little touch and go. No.
Yeah, but I mean, that was more the girl that was in that situation than it was Scott.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
it was always, you know, you were always Yahtzee, taking your chance, you know.
When you got to wheel someone into a hotel on a luggage rack, you know. Yeah, Sonny, actually, I had her. Let me rephrase that.
I'm talking about the first Hall of Fame, not the second one. I'm talking about the white.
Oh no, I'm talking about the second.
I'm talking about that. That second one was, yeah, that was during that COVID. That was.
Yeah.
I knew, because it was rough. It was because he was not going anywhere.
I didn't know about it at first, so there were incidents the first weekend too, or.
Oh yeah, but that was just one. But it was nothing to do with him. It was he brought a girl with him, and she showed her ass, and he sent her home.
Yeah. Some feedback from last week's episode. Titans Rule says, totally not being a dick here, but can Kevin have a segment where he answers questions while eating? I mean, some of his more endearing clips online have been of him chowing down while being interviewed. Adds a layer of humanity to the coolest MFer ever to lace up a pair of boots. So I don't know if you have anything there. Anything in the kitchen?
I only eat when I'm being interviewed, or during an interview, is when I'm starving. You know, like that, you know, when I did the ravioli, it was like I was on one of those Eric Sim runs, probably, where I had, you know, 33 minutes between
8 seconds to eat between gigs.
Between my seven appearances that day. So, you know, it's funny. It took me so long for being in this business, and you're just so used to being told, like, you know, we need you guys right now, and you'd be like, well, I was in the middle of, and you just get up and you do it.
Yeah.
And finally you just go, fuck that, I'm not doing that.
Give me the ravioli.
Yeah, exactly. Give me some ravioli. So
Recor Man. Hey, Nash and Oliver, did you see that LA Knight was the number 4 merchandise seller in June? Only Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Stone Cold topped his numbers. think it's quite impressive since he's been presented as a mid-carder on TV, like you mentioned. He did not appear on either Raw or SmackDown this week. Did you think this should have an effect on a wrestler's position on the card? So he was 4.
No, I thought he was 5th.
Was it 4? Well, I'm sure we'll get it up on the screen in a minute. Anyway, he was followed immediately by the NWO, right?
The NWO. So he was so over that he passed NWO. That's been together since 1996, and hasn't been on television in any capacity since. Let me see if I'd wear any of these. See, why would they make a yellow shirt? Nobody's gonna wear a yellow shirt.
Hulkster did okay with that for a few.
Yeah, that's
few
Hulk.
years there. It's reminiscent of the old LA gear.
The Dodger one, the Dodger one would sell. I would that one there, the one over the light blue that looks like a Dodger shirt, up
there.
Yeah, that kind of looks like a Dodger shirt. I actually watched. I didn't know much about the guy, and so I watched some clips, and I'll say, I mean, he's a good hand. The one thing and this is, probably the most important thing is he has some high impact finishing moves, and he really does an excellent job of always, not occasionally, not 90% of the time, but always making sure that he tucks that person's head and lays them flat. And
that's such a worker observation. See, I watched matches, but I think his work rate is fine.
To me, it's just because that's my whole thing is, and he looks like, I mean, he looks like he's strong. I mean, I always look at him like, okay, can I have a match with this guy in my prime? I'm like, hell yeah! Like he would have laid me flat. Like I could have had a good match with him. So I wasn't dogging him. Everybody's like, my whole thing was, I don't think people understood that was the first time that my eyes and what I thought I never saw him as Elijah Burke, or is that his name? Eli Burke, was it? Eli Burke. I never saw him. I didn't see him as that. I didn't see him in NXT. Eli Drake is what it was. Eli Drake. So,
well, your commentary was on the promo.
Yeah,
you can find footage of the people's elbow being dropped, or his version of that.
Right.
I mean, there's no denying that. But you know what? I'm gonna throw the hypocrite flag on you here. I want to bring up a picture. Look at this picture. It's bad enough you tried to be the Wizard of Oz. Now look at this. This, for someone who has comments for LA Knight impersonating The Rock, you're doing a hell of a job impersonating the King.
Well, what I did there was when they came to me and they said, we want you to develop a look for Diesel, and I was just standing at ringside, I said, well, I'm going to start with the 68 comeback look. I'm going to add some tassels so when I do move, because I'm a little lumbering, those tassels will give the appearance of more movement. And but I wasn't like when Diesel spoke, he went, Christmas without you. So mine was a look, and then that look lasted very short. The pants, I didn't wear cowboy boots. I didn't wear pants. I wore the pants, but I wore a singlet and I wore a vest. So it was. My whole thing is, I heard Disco on a show saying that he's kind of stole his stuff from Honky Tonk Man. All right, so you like when Honky Tonk would do his dance, Disco would do his dance during those same moments. That's picking. That's like people said, "Oh yeah, well your boy copied Scarface." Really? I've watched Scarface at least 100 times. What was Tony Montana's finish?
The issue I had with Glenn's thing was Disco would dance, but he was doing the Travolta disco kind of thing. Honky was doing that shake his ass
Shake,
a little
rattle,
bit
and
or whatever.
roll.
Yeah, whatever he was doing there. And the characters were nothing alike. He didn't speak like him. He didn't use any phraseology. He didn't use finishers or any other moves that Honky did. So that's what you call maybe homage. Or maybe if you just put one little thing in there, you call, oh, I'm paying homage to whoever.
And I've always said that my first look was geared towards what I thought was one of the more iconic looks, but that wasn't Elvis's look. That was Elvis's 68 look on the special when he returned. So that was one time, and that was it. So if I was to have worn more like a Double J outfit with a belt buckle and, glory, glory, hallelujah, and doing his Viva Las Vegas gig, that kind of a look, then that would have been more of an Elvis. Like, I don't have anybody like when somebody said, what do you think about AJ and those guys, using the Kliq sign? I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's fine because everybody knows where that came from, where that started from. Fenn used it. They used it as a Bullet Club over in Japan, and it was meant to be like that was, you know,
Paying homage is different, and like you
right.
see in film sometimes there'll be a moment or a shot which emulates something like Brian De Palma in The Untouchables, the homage to the Odessa step sequence when the baby carriage goes down.
I mean,
But is the dialogue in the film the same? Is everyone
no,
dressing like
no.
that too? Because then that's called something else. I think.
That's like The Rundown. That movie, The Rundown, when Rock walks in that bar or nightclub, whatever, and he passes, and the way in he passes Schwarzenegger, and they look at each other. And it was kind of like that passing of the torch that Schwarzenegger gave Dwayne, the passing of the torch there. That's a completely different, situation than, and I think that's the whole thing is like, if you do it with knowing that you're, that you're, and I don't even call it, because it's not a copy because a look is just a look. I mean, there's only so many ways you can wear your hair, so many ways you can,
Well, I think when we were talking, it was the delivery, the cadence, sticking it up your ass, and then
yeah, there was a
the
lot
elbow
of,
drop,
yeah,
and
there were a lot,
hitting
yeah,
the ropes that way. Yeah,
there were a
there's
lot of,
case to be made.
but
Has he reached out and thanked you for that number 4 spot, courtesy of your talking about him on the air for the last 2 weeks?
no, he doesn't need to.
All right.
He can sure as fuck thank me and Scott for that guaranteed money he gets every fucking month.
Travelator hater. I was making love one time with my girl, and Slipknot came on because we were trying to drown out the noise so my parents couldn't hear, which Slipknot works perfectly for. But we both couldn't contain ourselves from starting to laugh of how ridiculously violent the music is, and it totally ruined that session, but it made for a good laugh. This is, of course, a callback to you talking about setting the mood.
And Mr. Mason rests his case.
Locking diff. I'm an old wrestling fan and stopped watching shortly after the Attitude Era ended, basically the start of Ruthless. And LA Knight has reignited my interest in the WWE. A lot of wrestlers have borrowed it and were heavily inspired by others in the business to help them get over. If you look at Google Trends right now, as of June 2023, LA Knight is absolutely skyrocketing in searches. Did he thank you for that? There's no question that right now the creative team at WWE is scrambling to rewrite a lot of stuff because of this. Nobody expected this, and I'm happy for the guy.
Well, one thing I've got to say is, and 4 or 5 years ago, man, I thought wrestling was going to die. I was just like, God, every show is bad, and then it's like Raw got started getting better. I've just never been a SmackDown guy. I was never on. We didn't have SmackDown, and when I went back, I was rarely on it. I was always a Raw guy, so I'm just kind of just watch Raw. That's the show I watch. That's the show that I make sure. That's the show I watch every week, and I watch NXT probably the second most of anything. And now that they're doing where they're sending Raw guys down to NXT, now it's got my interest because I'm trying to see who they're giving a rub to that they're probably going to bring up to the main roster. But like the production is like Kevin Dunn has always like been so far above everybody else from a production standpoint. And like there were a lot of people that were saying, you know, like we talked about it, does Vince have his hands in creative and things like that? And it's like, I watched the show and I said her a couple of weeks ago, and I just said, like, am I the only one that sees like a better continuity, like going from match to interview to like it just seemed like things are clicking, and I don't know. It's just so if LA Knight, if the people, if he's the chosen one, if he's the people's champion, then he's the people's champion.
So
I don't have I don't. It doesn't fucking matter to me.
No, and the proof is in the pudding.
If his segments do a number and that fucking helps the WWE, which I'm a stockholder, and fucking it makes my buddy fucking Paul's life easier, then fuck get over, dude. It was just one of those things where I don't watch SmackDown. So, dude, I didn't know who the fuck you were, and I apologize. But some of us that are in professional wrestling actually watch sports, watch film, occasionally read a book. Like I do other things besides watch wrestling. There's 394 hours of wrestling on television a week. I just can't do it.
Well, he's, and I think in his statement, which we read last week, he's not denied steering away from aspects of Rocky and Steve, right? I mean, I think he kind of admitted to it. So, there's no big story there.
Now it becomes a situation where do you have the balls? Do you have the fucking balls, LA, to fucking go out there and smash 2 fucking beers in the corner and drink them? That's where I'm at.
It's coming. Probably
gotta do that. You got if you're gonna nudge your bear, baby. Come on.
Hey guys, Eric Bischoff here to talk to you about my friends over at SaveWithConrad.com. Are you looking to get out of debt? Conrad and his team can make that happen faster than me firing the honky tonk man. Wow. And you know that controversy creates cash, right? But you know what doesn't create cash? Credit card debt. Save with Conrad can help you consolidate high-interest credit cards and all of your other debt into one low monthly payment. They can even help you get the cash you need for home improvements or anything else. They've helped 83 Weeks listeners save $500, $600, $700, even $800 a month. Seriously, your papers are going to go down faster than Nitro ratings in 2000. Ouch! And how about this? No house payments for 2 months. That's right, no house payments for 2 months. And unlike the dirt sheets, man, the reviews do not lie. With over 1,000 5-star reviews, find out for yourself how much Conrad and his team can save you by checking out SaveWithConrad.com today. You'll be grateful you did.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
Matthew Gabbard says the only thing that makes it a gateway drug, he's referring to, I believe, cannabis, is the fact that because it is illegal, it puts you in contact with people who sell not just weed. So, plus, once you've crossed one threshold, it's easier to do another. Also, how is RFK Jr. the last one left from their dynasty? How the mighty hath fallen. I was joking that marijuana was referenced as a gateway drug when I was younger as a reason to avoid it. I think it's silly. I think everyone now in a
What is
very
it? How many states is it not legal in some capacity, whether recreational or medical?
Dominic.
Dom?
Almost before you finished the
We have 12.
question, Dom threw 12 up on the screen there.
I was just in Tennessee doing a signing last Saturday, Friday and Saturday, and there's they might have medical there. I don't know. I know they don't have recreational.
Mm,
Maybe they don't have anything in Tennessee.
might not. Yeah.
There's a
I think it's it's changed. Attitudes are changing, but you're still going to have some of those states that cling to bizarre states with very strange laws still on the books in regards to certain things.
Steve, pull up the other. I can't see the bottom of those 12 states.
Let's see. It's
I got
it's fully
Idaho.
illegal
There you go.
in let's see.
Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky. God, if you're in the fucking deep South, you're fucked. Yeah, because the last thing you'd want to do is give people with 60 IQs fucking weed, right? They might sit at home.
Sit home and reflect on something.
Yeah, they might actually do a crossword.
Right. But they're still much more comfortable with allowing everyone to go get a fifth of whiskey and beat the shit out of their wife, though.
Or, I mean, I think that, the amount of times in my life that I've used cannabis and had a chance to perish, my near-death experiences with cannabis as opposed to firearms is, I mean, just by far cannabis is a much more dangerous. So I would definitely not allow there to be cannabis, but I'd pretty much allow you not only to get a handgun, but carry the son of a bitch too, and never have to learn how to use it. I mean, that's what could go wrong.
Yeah. Point well taken.
We had 3 people shot here today, killed. Daytona Beach.
In Daytona. Oh.
Yeah.
Otswana. Sean is the definition of malleable. That man will change his tune and pivot faster than the blink of an eye, mid-sentence, to cater to whoever he is orbiting. It's from his line of work, but still it comes off as disingenuous. I don't know, maybe my blood sugar's low. I don't know, Otswana. Maybe it's your blood sugar, maybe it's something else, but there's no specifics. I can't answer it. So feel free whenever you want to make a statement like that to put anything in there where you've heard me being malleable or changing my opinion. I think I'm pretty consistent with my opinion.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, there's ways that you can have a discussion on something, and you can discuss an aspect of it, and then you can turn around and change the aspect you're discussing, and your viewpoint be like completely different to that aspect. Hey, boy, what do you think? What do you think about giving a 7-year-old kid pornography? I don't think there's a reason to have that.
But I think pornography's fine.
Yeah,
and should be around. Yeah, different aspect of discussion.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what he means. I don't know what he means.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't take a topic and without looking at variables to see whether or not somebody's malleable.
Right. Though
much like a hot cock.
I'm pretty consistent on my where that's got to go and where that's got to stay. Yeah. Joseph Garnish, fuck the haters, love the show.
I've always thought that the ruling of one hard cock in the room at a time was plenty was always a good one for me, as long as it was mine.
Joseph Garnish will close us out by saying, fuck the haters, love the show, funny as fuck, keep up the amazing work, guys. I will be unmalleable and steadfast in saying that Joseph Garnish had the best comment of the week. And I'm also not going, you won't hear me prevaricating on HelloFresh, which is back with us. You get farm, fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered
I
right to your
ordered
doorstep.
today.
I got to put my order in. I got it sitting on my phone. I got to put it in.
I ordered
Guys,
today.
skip trips to the grocery store. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it is America's #1 meal kit. Pre-portioned ingredients help cut down on food waste, while step-by-step instructions make cooking a breeze, not a chore. There's even pictures to help for people who may not be as versed in the kitchen like myself. Make your home the hangout place this summer, guys. Crowd-pleasing eats from a backyard bratwurst, maybe a tangy key lime pie to follow. HelloFresh Market makes summer entertaining a cinch, okay? And they understand you guys want options when it comes what to make for dinner. It's not just the same old thing all the time. That's why they offer 40 recipes to choose from every week. 40 recipes. So you'll never get bored, and you can always find something new that you will try and love. Do you also know it's about 25% cheaper than takeout? Listen, I'm not the best with portioning in my kitchen, right? That's why I found HelloFresh helps me the most. And finding new ingredients and interesting things, too. So when I make a HelloFresh meal, it's idiot-proof. It's gourmet style with a variety of ingredients I wouldn't have thought of, and everything is portioned right there for. And like I said, I love the photos. So, guys, go to HelloFresh.com/Kliq50, Kliq 50. Use that code Kliq50 for 50% off plus free shipping. For Christ's sake, they're practically giving it to you. All right, HelloFresh.com/Kliq50. Use that code Kliq50 for 50% off plus your free shipping. Guys, find out why they're America's #1 meal kit. What are you going to get, Kevin? I have to look at that. I have to check that out.
I got that. What does this say? Healthy? I'd have to look at my.
Oh, you went on the healthy.
The healthy
plan there.
I always get even though it's just my wife and I get the 4-pack, so I get 4 meals.
Mm-hmm.
So my
do you cook or does she cook? Do you tag team?
I mean, it's actually. I mean, it's I'm not. It's not like I'm much of a chef by any means, but I mean, I can throw one of those out pretty decent. My sister-in-law, when she found out about this, she got on it, and like it's been a staple for those guys because it's there's 4 of them. It's quick, like it's good, and the pricing is is amazing. So,
yep. All right, guys, head over there. Don't forget your code Kliq50. All right. Something I ran into this week on Twitter, which I thought was interesting. I was trying to go to sleep. I was flipping around my phone. I saw Corny going off on Matt Hardy. So I wanted to get the genesis of this. So I clicked into kind of the thread of tweets. This was all on Twitter, by the way. Matt Hardy said he was talking about CM Punk fans. And how it's cool for them to hate the elite. So he brings Cornette into it and says, between this and the toxic Cornette cult, these guys don't get the adoration that they truly deserve. The diehard elite fans are phenomenal and get why they're special, but there's a huge chunk of fans that fail to give them credit where they deserve. Give these guys their flowers. So Corny tweets back. He says, geez, man, I can understand selling your soul for rock and roll, but selling it for Adderall? Even if you have to abandon your principles and verbally fillet these childish cretins for your check, leave my fans alone. It's not their fault Tony's not paying them enough to lie. That was in response to Matt Hardy's tweet. And then the madness continued, I think.
This is what I was... So I was watching our show... just watching it back because I had, sometimes I like to check, our shows. So I was watching it last night because there's
Your
nothing
sound
on.
has been fine, if that's what you're checking,
No,
since the Janet Jackson
but I
gimmick.
do
If
that,
you're
man.
nasty.
I checked just to make sure, and so I fell asleep listening to our show, and because my voice puts me to
I
sleep.
was going to say, there's a ringing endorsement for last
Yeah,
week's episode.
no, it's just because it's me, you know. But no, I was tired, and I woke up, and I guess like Jim's show must follow ours on like some kind of a tape thing. So, and he was in the middle of the rant about how that Wednesday night should be AEW and Friday night should be Ring of Honor, and that way people can have the uh, whatever however he that whole thing, like it's the two different you know what he perceives as like Jim's perception of pro wrestling is.
And was he
I
going
mean,
wild? Was it like an
but,
alarm clock? Did you wake up?
no, it's see, and it's one of those things where, like I said, man, like as time went on and we were in the TNA locker room, I would start creeping in my 50s, and all of a sudden it would be like everybody would be going back and forth, back and forth. And then Cornette would say something, and I'd say something, and Cornette would double back on mine, and all of a sudden we were just like, I'd be like, wow. But Cornette's a lot like I am, to whereas when we've said this before, there's a knock on your door. You look through the peephole. How many guys on the current roster you go, oh fuck. You know?
Dangerous. Right.
Dangerous. That's that. And people, I just think that. And then you and I had this discussion today. We talked about Adrian Adonis.
I was just going to say, it doesn't even have to be danger in a physical, they don't have to look like yourself or Big John Studd. You're identical. But it just watching Adrian as a kid, as a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, there was nothing to tip me off to this, but like I just kind of felt he was legitimate in a way. And he was taking crazy floppy bumps all over the place. He didn't have to work strong style, brother. To convince me this, I just got a sense, whether it was his promos, looking into his eye when he was talking to the camera, or just working in the ring, looked like maybe he was laying it in sometimes, whether he was or he wasn't, who knows. But I got the sense that maybe that guy was in a motorcycle gang at one time, or a street gang at one time. And he was a bit of a miscreant and thug as a young man. But I got that sense from Adrian. And that's when I talk about wrestlers yesterday, today. It's not the work rate or the talent. I mean, these guys are very athletic and talented in that way. There's an authenticity. Like when maybe Robert Blake or a Lee Marvin
I got
in the
to
past.
There was a time we were in the car, me and Rick Rude, and we were smoking weed, driving down the road, hadn't said a word, just handed a joint back and forth,
Because it was a day ending in Y. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And just out of nowhere, Rude looks over at me and says, "Did you think Beretta was jacked?" He said, "Didn't you think he had guns? Like, didn't you think Beretta had guns?" Yeah, like he was like, "What? Beretta was jacked, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, like Beretta was tough."
Sense
Like,
of danger.
That was just Beretta was. You didn't think Joe Mannix was tough. You didn't think Rockford was tough. He got punched in the gut every episode.
Jim Garner? You talking about?
Jim Garner was like 6'6". Every time we walked into that damn mobile home fucking office he had, there'd be two guys in there that rough him up, punch him in the gut,
But you know what? You mentioned Rick
Right
Rude.
on, Rockford.
Rick Rude's a great example too, though. There's another example of a guy
Until you
was
watch
doing some stripper gimmick, like Beefcake did the same freaking gimmick, and
until you watch Rude punch somebody in real life.
Exactly. Well, no, I didn't even get to see that.
You watch the side of their head cave in.
I didn't even need to see that, but I knew that Beefcake and Rude would fare very differently in a barroom situation.
Yeah.
There's just a sense of it. And yeah, Adrian. Now Adrian was gone before your time, right? So you didn't get to do anything with him
No.
or
But
meet him or anything. Right?
I've heard a lot of, you know, car stories. As they use the term, he could stand alone.
Right. Yeah. I was always impressed as my waist expands, as I plummet, sprint toward the grave in my 50s here. How he was able to take those bumps at his size. I think it got a little extreme later on, like when he was out of WWE. But the whole time that I remember him in WWE, even though he was like very barrel shaped, he was flopping and flipping all over the place. I could barely bend over to put my socks on.
Well, I remember when Jody Hamilton, like when he broke me in, and I mean Jody was gigantic at that point, you know, and he rarely would get in the ring and show you anything, because everything he would just sit you down and you would watch, you would watch tapes and he would teach you psychology. But I remember one time Jody got his big ass in that ring and ran those ropes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa. I mean, he could motor, and he was and everything. And when he would grab a head and like that, I mean, everything he did was so believable. And then when you would watch, tapes of him, when it was later in his career that I had tapes of, he could sell with a mask on like few people. He could, those guys would blade with masks on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Tough thing working the mask. I remember talking to Bill Eadie at length about that on one of our kayfabe shows. And
just the peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision, but you've got one huge thing taken away from you. That's any expression you want to put on.
Yeah.
You got to make it come through in other ways. So
you got to work. Yeah,
you
got to work big.
And those guys were great at Spoiler, Mr. Wrestling 2, Jody. They were great at it back then. They really were. But AJ, you know how old he was when he was killed in that car accident?
No.
35. He could have had another, well, if he got his weight under control, he could have had another 10 years.
And that was a moose, wasn't it, that came into the front of their car?
The Kelly twin that survived said it was a bear cub, which had, but a larger problem in, where were they? Saskatoon? No, Newfoundland.
Yeah, like they were on that fucking road between Regina.
You know where it's okay.
Yeah, it's like
he said the sun was hitting in such a way, it was almost like directly in front of the car. And that plus like reflection off the ground when that bear cub was out and he swerved. I mean, the video of the car is brutal. The thing's accordioned, and it was a truck. It was like a Bronco type thing, I think, and got accordion. But he was already out of WWE for a few years. So that whole run, everything. When I remember seeing him when he was tagging with Jesse, doing the leather thing with the New York gang thing, into the adorable thing where he did the teased the homosexual thing for the easy 80s hate the gay guy. That whole run was over by the time he was like 32.
Yeah, which
is unbelievable. And great work. Everyone always universally.
But that's almost that's that Carol O'Connor age, When he was Archie Griffin, he was like 40. Archie Griffin,
Archie Bunker.
When he was a Heisman Trophy, when he was a Heisman Trophy winner twice at Ohio State. But when he was Archie Bunker, he was like 46 or 8 years old.
That's incredible. Because I mean, he looked like he, I guess, prematurely gray or whatever, and then the body, but he was able to look 25 years older than he was. One of the greats. The Bloodline segment, the fracturing of the family there. This is huge. I mean, they set records at MSG for attendance, and then their ratings were through the roof against SmackDown. Talking about SmackDown and Raw, and So I had to watch. I had to catch up a little bit. I mean, everyone's talking about it, so we gotta check in. I have to dispel the myths that I'm not interested in any wrestling at all since 2001. So I checked in and I watched, and the storyline itself, there's nothing earth-shattering or groundbreaking about it, but the performances, I think, are what are getting this over. We know Roman, and I don't mean wrestling performance. I'm talking about like in the
Yeah,
promos and
yeah. Okay,
more the interpersonal, like when you have to engage with somebody else, when you're just out there doing your rehearsed lines and you're really not going back and forth with someone in the ring. It's obvious to me, but Roman's great. We know that, and I think the Usos also
oh,
are
they're great.
so great at this their performances, acting. Do we call it acting? What do you call it? I don't want to insult anybody, but
I mean, it is acting. It's the I mean, to me, what's the difference between doing a film or doing a television show? They're doing a television show. They do the acting. They also do their own stunts. They do
Right.
their own action scenes. They do it. I mean, that's one of the things about why it should be called sports entertainment. Because it is. It's sports, but I mean, the entertaining aspect is that you get to know these characters. I watched an interview between the two Uso brothers, and like
Mhm.
their dream is to work against each other at WrestleMania in some, in years to come. Like that's where this will go. And I think what happens is, and I know that as close as we were, the Kliq, we were very much like family. And I think that there's a trust and an ability to push that other person's buttons. A person like your interaction is so much more real because your interaction is 24/7 for years and years and years.
Mm.
So you can even make the other guy laugh. You can make him. I mean, you can say shit that'll piss him off. That'll get
Mhm.
a response, and I mean, so I think the fact that they are family, that they've been working, like, look at the difference between Kevin and Sammy and their degree of involvement in the show and their degree of being over when involved with them, as opposed to now pulling away from that. I mean, it's just like,
But my question to you about this whole angle is, from what I watched the other night, it looks like it's Jay and Roman, right? I guess they're kind of teasing. Is that enough of a payoff? The angle's hot, but there is still a contest aspect of this that we have, wrestling for the title, to win a title. Is that a substantial enough threat to that title? Jay versus, do we believe Jay's going to beat Roman on a big pay-per-view for the title?
well, I think that what they did was
He broke the streak. We
right.
know that he broke the
Yeah,
streak, which was a
by
surprise.
the first time in over 1,000 days, Romans was pinned. So there's two ways to look at that psychology wise. Okay, that's what you always do. You beat the champ in a tag match, so the belt doesn't leave hands. And but at the same time, it's just like, does lightning hit? Does lightning strike twice? And do you catch everybody going, "Oh shit, I didn't see that coming. I never thought that." Like, we don't think, like, you're second guessing it. So
I am.
now so what does that do if he does? Because once he passes Pedro's mark, I think that it's all bets are off. Once
Mm.
Roman's the longest standing champion, I just think that, you know so, but who's to say as they build that storyline, the other brother's like, whoa, you know, like what you know, why do you get? It's not like the Klitschko's. Oh, you go ahead and fight. You know, it's just like, whoa, why are you getting the title shot? So you can start to, you know,
Bruno's title reign, if you combine his two reigns, the 63 one and then the 71 one, whatever the second one was, it's like 4,000 days. So we're not coming anywhere near that, I don't think, with this, unless they do plan to. I just don't know that they would do that. But I just don't think, I think I'd buy it was right. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But you're clearly a little more on board, a little less skeptical than I, so we shall see. All right, so San Martino, 2803, Bob Backlund, 2135, Hogan 2185. But that's not San Martino's combined. That's a single run, I think, which I don't know what they'd
yeah,
count.
that's what you go by, single run.
All right, so 2800.
I got a question. This is not for you, Sean. This is much for the guys in the back. I haven't played the video games for for a while, but especially now that T's passed. I saw something that was on either Twitter or Instagram or whatever, where they showed one thing where they had Taker and Lesnar dancing in like Uso outfits. And I mean, the graphics are amazing because it's the new video game. But they had a thing where they had three guys walking into the ring, and the first one was Goldberg. He had a clear water bottle in his hand, and then it was Lesnar and Russo and Roman, and they kind of jockeyed around. But it was just like those three guys, like Goldberg goes up the steps first, excuse me, and then I forget who goes up. I think Lesnar goes up second, and then Roman steps back and lets Lesnar go by, and then Roman goes up last. But the graphics and the looks on their faces, it was just like it was such a badass threesome of guys that you said to yourself, like, and I ran it back like 3 times, looking at it going like what I would pay,
To have seen a three-way.
to see those 3 guys in a match where I'd say, and look who they're against, and
Right.
that's
it's a six-man tag, you're saying. I thought you were saying against each other.
No, those 3, if that was if that was one team, then you'd have to have Taker on the other side. You'd have to have, you'd have to have Steve, maybe Rock.
That's
you'd
the
have
fun
to
of
have,
video games. You get to
yeah,
book
but I
those.
mean, you'd have to have some badass boys, So
I would have seen how they would have combated the heart punch. I would have put Stasiak rather, right in there, and seen how Goldberg would have dealt with the threat of the heart punch.
what if Fritz just came out and just started clawing people?
Double claw, maybe a third one with his foot.
Yeah, with
Something,
a bunion.
Right, really
Ooh,
get a little color, a little hard way in there.
yeah.
Hey, I was talking to somebody. I was talking to Waltman briefly. He was commenting on one of our previous shows. He sent me a text, and we were talking about your little dust up with Roddy in the Boston locker room. He mentioned he mentioned a bodyguard in regards to Roddy traveling. That is there a worse look in a locker room if you want respect than was it a legit bodyguard? And what are they guarding him from? The boys?
I don't know.
Did anyone just kind of like look around and go?
I took it more as a handler because Roddy would get kind of wasted.
Oh, to get him from town to town and stuff?
That's how I always, I didn't see it. Well, I'll put it this way. I'd have fired him after that incident in Boston. Because Scott just said, don't even think about it. And the dude didn't move.
So, the dude? Scott said that to the guy.
Scott Slims didn't know anything about it.
Would he wear a beret? I heard. Was he?
I think it was raspberry.
Interesting. Today me and Kevin are talking. I'm gonna tell everybody that, and we had a moment where we both kind of went, what is unique? This week's Stiff One of the Week.
Boom.
Yes, we're only there. Bluechew, our friends at Bluechew, back this week to sponsor the Stiff One of the Week. And who better to sponsor the Stiff One of the Week? Hop on, guys. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go. Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, guys. Bluechew.com. That's the magic formula. That's all you need to know, brother. It's a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever opportunity arises. I was just thinking, I did a little video today on social media. I posted right before we came on of one of our food sponsors. I had 6 meals delivered, so I made all 6 and laid them out on the dining room table with the box in front of each one, so I could show the bite and then show the finished result, and then plow through all of them. Forget the low-calorie option that they promised to deliver. I nailed the 6 meals. So I wonder if Bluechew, if we could do something like that, maybe just like bent over the dining room table, 6 volunteers to take the Bluechew service altered schmeckle to see if it delivers. Let's see. Automatically, I'm back in Hollywood, 1945. I gotta stop this here. I gotta get back.
Did you imagine if they would have had Bluechew?
Forget it. It would have been doled out at when you get off the bus on Hollywood and Vine. They just hand it out. Say, see what's Simmons right there. Line them up. So here's what you're going to do, guys. You're going to go to bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're going to receive your prescription within days. Best part, done online entirely. No doctor's visits, guys. No awkward conversations. We're talking about popping a chewable tablet and getting ready to deliver the goods like you never have before. Take any mystery out of the game, guys. You pop one, you chew it, and you are going to be ready to go, go, go. All right? Made in the USA, prepared, shipped directly to your door in discreet packaging. This is all designed to happen in a very comfortable setting for you. All right? And we want to help you have better sex. So discover your options at bluechew.com. Just chew it and do it, baby. Here's what we're going to do. We always do something special for our listeners. Try it for free. What do you got to lose? Use the promo code NASH at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code NASH, and receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Bluechew for sponsoring the Stiff One of the Week. I'm obsessed with this Stiff One of the Week, and I can't stop watching it. This is, it might have been Delta for all we know for
I know.
the last few weeks on this show.
I know what you're going to put up.
Actually, I think it was American Airlines. So the stiff one, here's a woman going stiff on a man who apparently is not real. I'm going to leave it there, and we can see this. It's gone viral. You might have seen it already.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give 2 fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to. Bye.
So we never see who she's talking about, so it's just left. You think she was referring to her chest as being not real?
I think that was me on the way to the Tulsa vintage toy store back in Coach. You wonder why I won't sit in Coach.
Because the crazies come out.
Yeah,
I love her. I don't care. I love her to be able to stand up to a plane full of strangers. That held up the flight for 3 hours. How unhappy would a Kevin Nash have been with that young lady not sitting next to someone who was not
number
real?
one, I would have stood up and I said, all right, let's walk back. Walk me back. I want to see, Because if there's a shapeshifter back there, I'll be damned about to get that motherfucker on my phone.
Right.
What's
You know,
what?
Carrot Top was on this flight. Did you know that? Carrot Top, the comedian. And have you seen him lately? I think it could have been him. Just
I'm not fucking saying no.
all right. Steve, please isolate that. There he is, talking about his flight on the plane with that woman. Steve, please isolate that. Motherfucker is not real. That will be played weekly. You know what? If Joe Biden was on the flight because of all the actors that have been, she might have been right.
Well, he's not the real Joe Biden because he's been assassinated.
Right.
But that motherfucker that cut the promo in Lithuania today was pretty spot on.
Right, but not real. Dear Sexy, everyone's favorite segment. Dear Sexy. Actual Dear Abby letters repurposed for this show. We're going to ask Kevin Nash for his advice from the Dear Abby archives. First letter. Dear Sexy. My in-laws are having a large and expensive celebration for their 40th anniversary. They are demanding that all 5 children kick in $250 toward the party. We live in another state, and our tickets to attend are very expensive. Sexy, we feel the cost of our tickets is enough expense without helping to pay for their party. They invited us. My father is 80 years old, and he and my mom will have a 50th anniversary soon. That is something to celebrate. I don't mind paying for it myself, and I won't ask anyone to help. Which anniversary should be celebrated with a big celebration, and must we help pay for their party? No one offered to help us with the expenses of our plane tickets. That's from Jackie in Colorado Springs. If your in-laws were throwing an expensive 40th anniversary party and demanded that Tamara and her siblings and families contribute $250 each to the party, how would that work with you?
I mean, it depends on how many times they want me to tell them to fuck off.
So maybe just once would be sufficient.
Yeah. I think once I said, fuck you. Number one, I'm not going anyway. So.
Okay. So this person. So what is it again? Jackie.
So what year is this? How many years?
It's hard to tell. It's from the archive, so it could have been anything in the last 40
No,
years.
I mean, but what anniversary is it?
Oh, it was the 40th anniversary.
Oh, it's their 40th.
Yeah.
And she's saying they're going to have their 50th, and he's 80.
No, what she's saying is her parents are having a 50th, and they're not asking anyone to pay. Why are her in-laws, who are just having a 40th, asking people to contribute?
Yeah. Yeah. All that shit's Hallmark fucking. That's all Hallmark anniversaries.
So she's justified in telling them to go scratch.
Yeah, fuck them.
All right. Dear Sexy, I am a 51-year-old man married to a woman who has been down the aisle 3 times. I love her very much, and I know she loves me. However, she has a habit that's beginning to bother me a great deal. She never misses an opportunity to bash men. Whenever she hears or reads about a man who has gotten himself in trouble with alcohol, gambling, or womanizing, she remarks, typical male, then does 10 minutes about how all men are pigs. The other day, a neighbor came over to show us her new puppy. I went to pet the puppy, and the neighbor said, be careful, I don't think she likes men. And my wife said, smart dog. She hates her daughter's husbands and boyfriends, and she cannot stand any of my male friends. She seems happiest when she's commiserating with other women about how they've been wronged or hurt by men in their lives. Unlike her 2 previous husbands, I am a faithful and loving life partner who's not a wife-beater, philanderer, or a liar. I've asked her to please stop spewing her venom while I'm in the room, but now she thinks it's funny when I react. It's obvious that if she thinks all men are pigs, she shouldn't have married another one. How can I make her understand that her constant male bashing is harming our relationship? From tired of hearing it in Tempe, Arizona.
I don't know. Maybe sit her down and tell her the truth. You know, to me, it's just like if my wife was male bashing it'd be like, you get kind of play wiffle ball and shit like that. One strike.
Well, wouldn't you probably know before?
You should. Number one, you're her third walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
So if she's not carrying as much baggage as Billy Zane did to walk on the Titanic, which she is, it's like, fuck, man, it's
Yeah, there's a little bit of, hey, you married her,
yeah,
to
exactly.
this.
Yeah. She's got 23 DUIs. And,
I only knew about 22. Yeah, you can't do that.
2 months later, I can't put up with your drinking, honey. It's like, come on, man.
Oh, the male bashing thing. And listen, not easy being a man this day and age.
Please tell me the upside of getting married a second time. Would you ever, if something happened with you and your wife, would you get married again?
I'm gonna say no, but I think wouldn't every man say no? And then something changes them.
What's gonna change?
I guess having to do laundry by yourself. I don't know. Something happens.
Anyway.
Something
man,
happens.
Fuck that. If something happened to my wife, man, there ain't a fucking chance in hell. I'm fucking
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's like fucking the only reason you fucking keep score in golf if you're not on the fucking tour is because the other guys don't want you cheating. Fucking if I'm playing around a golf on my own, I'll be damned if I'm fucking gonna
taking a pencil out.
I've got a pencil in my fucking hand. Fuck that. Hit the ball. Let's go.
Speaking of hitting the ball, Kevin, it is time for Manscaped's summer performance package, folks.
I scaped today.
Did you scape? Did you manscape, my man?
I manscaped today. Yes, I did.
Good man. Hey, summer, it means swimming. You know what that means? Cannonballs, baby. It's time. It's not just about the size of the cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends at Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs the summer has ever seen. When you're at the cookout, let the meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready and not sweaty by going to manscaped.com and using the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, 20% off and free shipping. Best thing about these razors, it is not hard, I would imagine, with some of the market razors out there to get a little nick, a little something to wound your balls while trimming below the waist. But the Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to guarantee you'll have the most mouth-watering treats at the party. They've built the ultimate bundle for your summer grooming. Okay, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It features cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0, 7,000 RPM motor. I'm going to say that again, a 7,000 RPM motor, and a new multifunction on-off switch, which has a travel lock you can engage. Kevin has spoken in the past about how important the travel lock for the razor is. You don't want that just buzzing in your bag and killing your battery or your charge. It gives you the ability to use a 4,000 K LED spotlight when you need to get to those precise areas. Did I mention it's waterproof too? It is. Beach, pool, shower. This razor will devour even the strongest pubes. They make boxers, the Shed travel bag. I'm a big fan of the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, guys. All this and more. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping with the code KLIQ at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q. Manscaped is the perfect way to get your patties sizzling hot this summer.
This is a little known fact. If you don't have a beard, but you do get the kit, make sure you pack the entire kit when you go on the road, because the beard oil,
it's a must.
Twist one off with that easy.
Oh.
That's right. Forget the Astroglide. That beard oil will slide right in there handy, boys. Look down at that extra inch and a half you've trimmed back and be proud.
These are the tips you don't get anywhere else, guys.
No.
Hey, Did you happen to see a documentary on HBO Max? It was a little something about it was like a Rock Hudson documentary. You didn't see that, did you? Did you happen to see that? We're like, yeah, we did.
Oh, we
Pants came off. We dropped drawers. That was
we
it.
popped, man. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is the I
There's
love
a
when
lot to
people
unpack.
I love when people always say this, how like when we agreed on the fireworks thing. It's like, oh, you two old fucks. You know what, man? It's not that I'm old. It's just that I pay a premium to live the life I do. I pay fucking more in taxes. I pay all kind of shit. You can't. But the problem with me is it's not so much the fireworks. It's the motherfuckers that are using their homes as Airbnbs in a non-rental area because these assholes aren't there. We're supposed to have a 3-month minimum lease, and there's 99,000 cars up and down the beach for 3 days, and they're all gone. And guess what? Not everybody that lives on the beach is from Alabama or Georgia. Okay, just so happens that everybody's in a Suburban, a Tahoe with a Georgia. It's like, no, they're all coming over the border, getting a place that holds 93 of them, and it's ridiculous. And where I live, you can't drive on the beach. It's like it's a turtle habitat. It's quiet. That's why I live there. So it has nothing. If you want to go light fireworks off, knock yourself out. Just don't do it someplace where it's illegal. And don't do it don't make my dog have a heart attack. So it's not that we're old. It's just that fuck you.
But anyway,
Anyway,
in regards
so
to Rock Hudson,
we were also talking about the fact that, and as life goes on, you don't get to watch what you want to in the TV room. So I watched 665 the other day, and I'll just leave it at that. I watched it and pulled my wife through it for 90 minutes. And so it was kind of her choice. So we were going through, and she said, go get off of Max because there's never anything, or get off of Netflix and go to Max and see if there's anything on Max. So I went to home and I went through, and she goes, I wanted to see that Rock Hudson bio. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Rock Hudson's cool with me. McMillan and wife. Yeah, I'm in. Giant, great film. So this documentary starts off, and it's basically like, as time went on, because Rock Hudson was like the first prominent celebrity to contract and then die of AIDS.
Mhm.
And it was always like hush hush, and when was he gay, and and then they go into this documentary where he's at the castle and in the Hollywood Hills, and it's 70 24-year-old guys sitting around a pool with either swim trunks or nude, and this is going on like every day. And I'm thinking, how do you keep 75 26-year-old gay guys from not the next day going to a gay club and going, you're not going to believe I was at Rock Hudson's. I mean, they took Rock, like Rock was up in San Francisco, and he went to a place where you could go up on the catwalk and watch the guys go into the sliding doors that had the glory holes. And, Rock was 6'4". He's, had no problem. Just, he was almost completely open about his
and how that was kept under wraps and it's not just Rock. I mean, the documentary covers Rock Hudson,
it's basically all of. I mean, there was, and I forget. I think the guy's name was Simmons.
The manager,
Yeah,
the manager
something like
guy.
that. But I
Yeah,
mean, he basically took these young uh, bucks that would come into Hollywood that were gay and would groom them and teach them how to be more masculine. So, like any kind of little nuance they had wouldn't out them on film.
right. The importance of the male star being able to play the war hero now, as opposed to, you know, Errol Flynn, the swashbuckler. It was a different skill set needed for the camera. Uh, how to butch it up, so to speak. So, but I was in awe, Kevin. I was in awe of how this function was needed in Hollywood to that degree. And then, so there's that aspect of it. Like, the manager's job is taking all these gay guys and turning them into matinee idols. And then, like you said, the footage and the still shots of the pool parties. This isn't five best friends sitting around. It's lavish, and it's like Caligula minus the women. So how this was able to be kept under wraps, the PR job that had to be done.
And it wasn't like Rock Hudson was like Elton John, where he had like one or two lovers that were very long term. It was like he was more like Tommy Lee during the Motley Crue run, except it was dudes.
Right.
And it was just like, and there's a clip that, I mean, the guys are, I mean, he's on tape just basically saying, like the guy says, "Hey, Rock, does this guy want to meet?" He goes, "Yeah, really? What's he look like?" He goes, "Well, about 9 inches." I mean, that was the conversation. He goes, "Yeah, have him stop by."
And listen, the games we had to play dating women, like this is really cutting out the middleman. Is it? What does he look like? 9 inches. Send him over. Like, get it done. Get it
Yeah,
done.
could you imagine getting that kind of a book report? So how's that Susan girl? Fucking
Take
laser
a
like a
kabasi. Yeah.
yeah, laser like a corpse. Fucking nothing but teeth. All right, thanks for
Skip.
looking out. Pass.
Right. Yeah. So I was shocked, and many times I would turn to my wife and say, "Can you believe this was just going on in Hollywood all over the place?" The Ryan Murphy series, I think it was called Hollywood, from like 3 or 4 years ago, which I thought was rather gratuitous with some of the guy on guy action. And I was kind of like, what are they taking one aspect of Hollywood in the 40s and they're kind of making the whole thing up. But no, apparently it was that insane.
Well, there was one thing where they were talking about the filming of Giant and how him and James Dean didn't get along at all. And they said that James Dean made it well known that Rock Hudson had made several advances during the filming of Giant. And then the person that's doing the documentary says, which nobody understands why that would put James Dean in any uproar, because it was well known throughout the Hollywood circles that James Dean went both ways. So it's like how I just don't understand that when he got sick, and then there's this guy that it gets so brutal towards the end, because now he's, I mean, he's Rock Hudson, and this is like he's at such a different level than everybody else is, and he gets, he contracts AIDS, and he goes about a year kind of like undercover. Somebody saw him at a Reagan function, and somebody saw like a lesion by his ear, and they said, "Man, like, I just like saw a picture of Rock. Like, you should really go get that lesion taken care of." So they went and had the lesion looked at, and when they looked at it, it was diagnosed as AIDS, and the original diagnosis of of AIDS is they thought it was cancer. They thought it was some kind of a cancer because it had so many similarities of cancer and attack, of attacking the body. So he went to France. He went to Paris and was being treated there. And then once they found out that he had actual AIDS, because they didn't know like how contagious it was and what I mean, I remember back
It was
when
early on,
when
early
this was
'80s.
this is early '80s and I remember when it was people said it was. I mean, Magic Johnson when Magic Johnson was diagnosed, he couldn't play in the league. It took a couple years before they found out, okay, it's not contagious through saliva or sweat. Then they allowed Magic to come back and play in the All-Star game. He scored like 40.
Yeah.
But no, it was just and so he signed to go on the show Dynasty, and he had this he was a horse breeder, uh, and he had this scene with Linda Evans where she gets tossed and he jumps down off the horse and runs down to her and he has to kiss her.
Yeah.
And it's like his diary is just like, oh my God, like I can't believe I've got to do this today. And the last thing he wants to do is, of course, give her this. So he's like, I've done, I went through a bottle of mouthwash, and when you watch this horribly awkward kiss that he gives her with his mouth like glued shut, and she's like, I know that Rock Hudson can kick. Why won't he kiss me? And she was. Then they found out later on, okay, he has AIDS, and then Linda Evans would walk into the dressing room, and the people would scatter, and like I lost a cousin to AIDS, and you know it was back then it was always like people would say he died of ammonia. He had pneumonia. It was always pneumonia. Like that was and
What year would this have been? In the beginning?
yeah, this is early. Yeah, my cousin passed, and I mean, we knew he was homosexual. I mean, he made so many passes at me and my brother throughout our childhood.
No. Your age?
Older. He was several years older than I was. I remember one time he called me upstairs, and I'm 9 years old, coming up the stairs, and I come around the corner and I walk in his room, and he's laying there with a big boner. Hop on. I say, I don't think my fucking 1 foot touched going down those stairs. I was at the landing. I was like, fuck.
Now, this was not your WWE tryout match. This was your childhood you're talking about.
No, this is my time.
Just making sure.
I mean, it was just like, because I was 8. I mean, I don't even think I'd seen a Playboy at that point in my life. So it was, a little bit more, 1968 was a little bit more of a,
simpler time.
Yeah. Now you go by, you go by a bus stop, and there's third graders, and they're calling each other cocksuckers and fuck
Right,
you. And
they're all on Pornhub on their phones.
Exactly. I mean,
You run upstairs, and cousin Jerry's got the fucking Eiffel Tower in the bed, and
it's just like, and it's funny if you've ever talked to a woman that's been had somebody expose themselves to them. It's so jarring. They always go, and I swear to God, the thing was 1.5 foot long, because you just don't expect to see somebody's, genitalia. I remember my wife was with a friend of hers, and they were at the Acres Mill Mall, and some guy drove by real slow, and just was masturbating when like from like right next to them.
I wouldn't have done it if I knew it was Tamara. I didn't know you at the time.
Yeah, well, she said every time she watches our show, she goes, Sean looks familiar.
That's why Tristan ripped the book up.
Yeah, that's the one. But gosh, man, I didn't know. Maybe because I didn't, and I hadn't read a one person had written anything about this, and I'm on social media and everything else. It's just like it didn't get any kind of reviews. I mean, this thing, are we the only two guys that have seen this in America?
I don't know. Yeah, no, I saw no coverage of it. We just were flipping
None.
around, and it was one of those compromise nights, right? Like my wife's with me, so it's I'm not going down the 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 CSI rabbit hole. So it's gonna
And it
it's gonna be
was,
something
man,
middle of the road,
I
and I
found
would.
the piece at the end, like it was, he died alone. He had those two friends that were, that he had, throughout life, and they were, like, but they went, like when they went out to Joshua Tree, and Rock had never been there before, and that was, I think it was around Easter time, and they were telling it was kind of their story at that point, kind of through a diary, and they were saying how they knew that if they saw Rock again, it didn't really matter because this was the last time
Mm.
that they were going to see Rock. This was it, and it basically was. After that, when by the way, he had to rent like a 747 or some shit, 727 to get home from Paris to L.A. because they wouldn't allow him, and you couldn't take a small enough, he had to fucking, rent a whole plane, and he was deathly ill,
Yeah.
and he went back to his home, and there were some of his past lovers that wanted to, they touch base with those two friends, and they were like, he's doesn't even, he wouldn't know you were here if you were here. The
Mm.
guy, and everybody just said at the end that that knew him and spent time with him or was a lover of his, that what a great guy he was. One guy, I mean, the term he used was he was such a dandy,
He was a dandy, wasn't he?
and yeah, and um,
He
made like Doris Day. There's a part when, because Doris Day and him did Pillow Talk, and I've seen Pillow Talk, and it's like he did several movies where the storyline was that he was either, like in Pillow Talk, he pretends to be a gay man to get close so he can get Doris Day in bed. Like that's the premise of the movie. And Doris Day just, they're trying to. They've got clips of her like, God, Rona Barrett. People probably don't remember Rona Barrett, but she was like a gossip,
a gossip
yeah,
columnist. Yeah.
and she was like huge back in the early '80s. She had her own shows and shit like that on television. But like they were trying to, like, paint Doris Day into a corner, and she said, "I don't know." She said, "All I just know is he's a wonderful man." And there's one thing about that entire documentary: there isn't a human being that had a bad word to say about him. So
Mm. Yeah. Well, I don't even think when he died, 84, 85,
I think
something like that.
84.
It was still not being carried. And
No,
today you wouldn't have this, that he was a homosexual. I think the news clip they showed, the woman, the closest they got was saying passed away of AIDS, the disease typically associated with homosexual men.
October 2nd, 1985, and he was 59 years old.
Right. I didn't realize he was that young. Yeah,
Yeah, I
59.
was young. I remember because the thing was, my wife had always, when she saw pictures of my father, my wife always said, "God, your dad looked a lot like Rock Hudson." And I'd always heard that Rock Hudson was just a horrific chain smoker. Like you never saw him without a cigarette, and that was my father, Bob. And I said, "Yeah," I said, he was a chain smoker too." And my dad looked, much older than 36 because just that constant smoke just ripping through your face.
Was he 36 when he died?
Yeah, my dad was 36 when he passed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone, run out there and grab some Rock Hudson. Get a piece of the rock. It's called All That Heaven Can Fit. All That Heaven Can Fit in Me. Hold on a minute here. All That Heaven.
You're horrible.
Where is it, for God's sake? No, it is called something like
Yeah,
All That Heaven Allowed.
Yeah, and the thing is, so you think about that, and then you think about when guys would be in sports, and they would come out, and it would be like, man, they would come out, it would ruin their lives, like everything. And now it's just like, if somebody came out in sports, would anybody it would be like, what? All right.
No, it happens now. You see. Well,
But
I guess you know what I will say. There's still a stigma. You're very macho sports. Has there been a publicly gay boxer or MMA fighter? Or, I mean, there have been football players, but like that, I do think there would still be a little bit of a stigma depending on the sport. Tennis, you're fine. Golf, you're probably fine.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's. I just don't think it's newsworthy that whether.
I don't know.
I mean, I know for a fact that it's really not kosher in professional wrestling. I don't know anybody that's came out that's been like, you know, I'm gay.
But
That's
what
got
about not to
pushed.
fans? What about just like to the locker room? Would it still be a problem?
I don't. It wouldn't with me, but I'm you know.
I don't know. Your rank and file today might be okay with it.
I would hope.
I think a woman it might be a little easier for a woman.
Oh God, yes.
But I think for a guy, I think the rank and file today, it is a bit of a different world. So I think maybe in most thinking parts of the country, it is.
I mean, I've got so many gay friends, and it just, I mean, I don't know. I just don't. He's not my gay friend.
Right.
He's my friend.
Right. Yeah, sure.
You know, it's like, there's nothing worse than somebody says, I'm not a racist. I have black friends. Like, what? So
this is my black friend,
yeah,
Floyd.
Yeah, in your Rolodex, this is black friend.
Right.
Like when the phone rings, it has a B next to their name, so you realize, oh, that's my black friend.
Right.
Like you have friends, man. Like fuck. If you in your mind say that, you have a problem. If that's your gay friend or that's your black friend, you got a fucking problem. If it's just not your friend.
Speaking of them there gays, the Emmys is coming up there, and that's everyone knows that there's the gay Super Bowl there, the Emmys, the Oscars, anything with the red carpet there. So I'm going to bring up some nominees for lead actor in this year's Emmys, and I want to feel your opinion, and then we can open it up. We got people in the room here, our friends who have subscribed at KliqThisTV.com. All right, so here are the nominees. Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. My order's a little different there, but I'll go according to what's on the screen. We have Pedro Pascal. Where is he there? Let me see. Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us.
Yeah, he was good.
Kieran Culkin.
He was great.
In Succession. Jeremy Strong from Succession.
Very good.
Driving Steve crazy. Try to keep up with me here. He's scrolling all over the screen. Brian Cox from Succession. And Jeff Bridges from The Old Man.
Did you watch The Old Man?
I didn't, so I don't.
Oh, God, he was excellent in that. I'm a huge, Jeff Bridges fan. So he's on the cover of ARP magazine for all you people that aren't 50. God, it would be hard for me not to go with the show ending with Brian Cox. Calkin would be 2.
See, that's where I was going to go. I was going to go with Kieran just because of kind of the broad, particularly this season, the broad range that he was allowed to show, courtesy of the writers. Be nice to end that
I
strike.
just think that when they showed his vulnerability,
Yeah.
you know, when he goes out in the crowd and has, you know, it just his vulnerability during his father's funeral. I think he was given the most chance to show, you know, epic range,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, Brian Cox, you know, pretty much played the same character.
That's where I'm going with that. I mean, Brian Cox is a wonderful actor, but I'd want to see a
Yeah,
journey. I want to see a character journey, an arc.
yeah.
To be Dickie.
I would say I'm gonna go. I'll go. I'm gonna see what you were able to sway me. See how easy that was. I'm
See
going
that?
back. I'm going back.
You're malleable, and you'll just go
I
with
am.
whoever's opinions on the show.
I'm gonna jump right back in the Calkins lap, and actually I'm gonna put Jeff
Hop
Bridges.
on.
I'm gonna
Hop on.
yeah. Well, I see my Avon bottles, and then
I
Jeff
don't get that
Bridges.
reference. Should I know that?
My brother will, if he's listening.
Okay.
That's for you, Mark. Hop on.
The insertion of Avon bottles for Mark. So yeah, I mean, I just feel Kieran Culkin, and I just for total clarity's sake, I would say that I did not see The Old Man, and I saw clips because I'm a horror film fan, but I did not see the whole series, The Last of Us. Maybe there's a very big arc to his character.
Oh God, T would have loved that because that was one of the last games he and I played together that we finished.
Oh, that's right. It was based on that.
Yeah, based on a video game.
So, all right, what does the crew feel here?
Now, if you're going to go into an episode,
Mhm.
I would have picked the one where I'm trying to think of the actor's name from Parks and Rec. It was the oh God.
These guys will have it. Someone will have it. But anyway, so
Yeah.
Ron Swanson.
Nick Offerman. Offerman played Swanson, right?
It's what I'm being told. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Episode 3, and that was pretty brilliant.
So what does our audience think here? Well, who's getting it? Let's see. All right, David going with Brian Cox.
Going Brian Cox. Can we persuade you to go with Calkin?
Only if it's as malleable as I am. She's at offer.
Nick.
Hadn't seen any of the shows. Okay. If you have to see any of them, Jen, Succession. Too Hard and Fierce said, love that episode. I guess you're still talking about episode 3.
Yeah, because he's got he's alone, and he's got this fortress built, and he's a survivalist, and this guy falls into a booby trap, and you think he's going to kill him, and he pulls the guy out, and the guy that ends up being his gay lover he's the guy that is the gay the guy that runs the resort in the first Wild Orchid. Is that where that show was called?
White Lotus.
White Lotus. I'm sorry, White Lotus.
Yeah.
He was the actor that played the gay guy that was running that.
Right.
So, and they were on at the same time. My wife's like, does this guy play? All he does is play gay guys.
Busy guy.
Murray Bartlett.
He's willing to be persuaded to Jeff Bridges. Okay, well, Kieran gets my vote. Now, how about series? Here are the nominees for series in alphabetical order. It looks like you also have alphabetical order.
Never seen it.
Yeah, Andor. I didn't see Andor. Better Call Saul, House of the Dragon, that's a Game of Thrones, Succession, The Crown. I started The Crown. I couldn't go very far with it.
My wife watched that.
The Last of Us, and we should still have White Lotus and Yellow Jacket.
I thought season 1 of Yellow Jackets was better. White Lotus. Oh, there's Yellowstone also.
Right. Wow, the big favorite at a minus 250 is Succession. Wow.
It's kind of, I mean, that was, that was newsworthy. That, with this, who was, to try to figure out what was going to, be the final of that show. And I really enjoyed House of Dragons. I maybe that's something. I mean, that's something because my wife and I watch it together. But we also watched White Lotus. I didn't think that the second season of White Lotus was as good as the first.
I agree. Sicily did not have me as enthralled as the Hawaii season did. Is there going to be a third? Does anyone have information on
I
this?
don't know. She's dead, so I mean, I don't know.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge. She's
yeah. Better Call. I think it's almost redundant to me. I actually stopped watching it because I just wasn't getting anything like more out of it. I think I kind of played itself out.
I was a Breaking Bad fan, and so I went over because I was supposed to.
Oh yeah,
not the same show, not the same appeal.
No. I don't see. I mean, are we going to just homer this and say Succession? Because that's
but I was a big fan. So,
but I'm gonna if I had to take my choice, because it's moving forward, it'll be House of Dragons because that show will continue, and the others. Well, Last of Us was probably second.
Okay.
But I mean, I can't say that I waited for House of Dragons or Last of Us. I mean, I watched The Last of Us as it actually aired. Like, like I couldn't wait. I mean, I'd be like, fuck, it's not on. Well, why isn't it on that? Because at Max, they hold it until it, drops on HBO.
Right. But that's the question. Like, what keeps you passionately coming back? Not just, we have an extra episode of whatever. We haven't watched that yet. You want to put it on, hon? But what's event viewing now? Was it Last of Us for you? That was event viewing?
Was probably because if like my wife would sometimes she's doesn't want to stay up and shit like that, so she'll go to bed, and I wouldn't watch. Like I can actually hold off and not watch Succession, but Last of Us I had to watch when it dropped.
See, I think that's a big litmus test.
Yeah.
For what you.
And it was the same with Old Man. I watched Old Man when it dropped too, because I didn't know whether. I think it was. What was that on? Was that on American?
I have to look for that. It was
American. What was that? What was that on? AMX.
AMC.
AMC. Is that what that was on?
What do they got?
I know that I put it and FX. Yeah.
FX, okay.
And like the only thing I really watch on FX is Snowfall coming back? Does anybody watch Snowfall? I thought that was coming back. I haven't seen anything about that. Wesley thinks so. That's one of my favorites. I love that show. What else do I watch on FX? Does Yellowstone come on FX? Does that come on? That comes on American Movie Class or AMC, right? I like Yellowstone. I just can't take that 7 minutes every episode where they're either Paramount. Yeah, I can't take the 7 minutes every episode where they've got some kind of a roundup or a county fair where they're got some country music band in the background. I'm just not a country fan, and that's just it's just like, ooh. That's usually when I go. It's like I'll go take a piss, and my wife will be like, "You want me to pause it?" I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good. I'm going upstairs and use the bathroom and the master." It's as far away as I can get from the TV.
A half a mile walk to take a squirt.
Yeah.
Snowfall not coming back, by the way. Season 6 was the end.
Boo.
Sorry. Yeah, Bear. I tried Bear because I liked Shameless, and the actor, I'm going to forget his name, from Shameless is in Bear. I tried that. I didn't last very long. Got to be pretty unique to keep me in. All right, back with Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. He's Kevin, I'm Sean. I would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone that they should be starting their Monday not only with the Kliq This podcast, but with their dose of AG1. Okay? This is, I discovered this via this show, but it was welcome because I was concentrating on my gut health at the time. I needed to, first of all, to shrink it, and then to make sure I was putting some nutrient-rich stuff in it after my diverticulitis goddamn diagnosis. And I gave AG1 a try, and I loved it, and I still do. Okay, I drink AG1 in the morning. First thing, it's the first thing that goes into my stomach before anything else. It's 1 scoop in 1 cup of water. You could put it in anything you want. I put it in water. And you know what? It makes me feel like I'm doing something good for my body. I need to start my day psychologically with that kind of power. You know, I need to know I'm giving my body the nutrition that it craves and that I'm covering my nutritional bases. Okay. Since I've been drinking AG1, I feel my digestion is better, I think. Mental clarity and focus is something that's aided by this too. And it replaces your multivitamin. I used to pop with 3, 4, I had the fish oil thing, a multi. Listen, it replaces your multivitamin, probiotic, and more in one simple, drinkable habit. It's 1 scoop in a glass of water, guys, all right? And listen, it saves a lot of time if you're worried about nutrition. You do that first thing in the morning, and you rock and you roll, all right? AG1 was created in 2010 and has helped millions of mornings begin on a healthier foundation ever since, okay? It's a high-quality, all-in-one solution. It's your daily foundational nutrition, okay? Each serving costs less than $3 a day. This is so simple, guys. Here's what I want you to do. If you're looking for a simpler, effective investment for your health, try AG1. Get 5 free AG1 Travel Packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/kliq, Kliq. That's drinkag1.com/kliq, Kliq. Check it out. Okay? Did a little solid for everybody there.
I was saying when we were on commercial break, that my wife has now stolen my AG1.
Yes.
So
tell her to use that damn code. Get herself some money off there. You know, you get the 5 travel packs. You can throw one in your bag every time you go away.
Well, that's how it started. She took the travel packs on her cruise with her. Then she came home. We were just like, nah, this isn't yours anymore. Get your own. I'm like, what?
So she literally just took the AG1 right out of your hands. That's great.
She says, you know, I'm like, all right. Like, but maybe you should order like 6 months, worth.
Well, she'll do it now. All right, Kev, we are about to face your public. Hashtag Ask Nash.
I before we do that,
yeah,
there's a phenomenon that I encounter at least 4 times a week. So on my way home, I drive up Atlantic Avenue, which is the beach road. And at Atlantic Avenue and Dunlawton, which is the bridge that goes over to the mainland, there is a putt-putt golf course called Pirates Cove. What is the draw of putt-putt golf course and absolute hot women.
Are you
I
telling me
mean,
that hot women are at miniature golf
every
courses?
single time I stop at the red light and look over, it's either some smoking hot MILF and her husband and 2 kids, or like 3 like 21-year-olds with like in bikinis with like their wraps on. And it's like it's not like once a week. It's every time and now I start doing the rubbernecking as I go by, you know. I start looking from like far distance, like, and I'd be like, son of a bitch. There's a
This is something I'm not familiar with. I'm going to have
I-
to pay attention.
I'm women out there, please, guys. If you got a hot girl and she loves going to putt golf, miniature golf, whatever the hell you want to call it,
Mhm.
I'm looking at pictures of when Tamara and I lived in Atlanta, and we used to go to Destin, and we have like pictures of my wife, like, you know, and she's smoking hot, blonde, you know, she's 22 years old, sitting on a turtle with a fucking putter in her hand at a putt golf course. And I'm like, see, we got dragged into this.
It
Like,
sounds like a pictorial for Penthouse or something.
yeah, you know, it's just I don't.
All right, there's the locale. Can we get
That's
any like
Pirates Cove there, right?
any Yelp shots or any?
No,
Let's see, what do we got going on there? Someone in the distance. I can't see enough to know whether this is
yeah.
This satisfies the. I don't know if I'm going to pay attention now, and everybody else.
Yeah, it's.
Send your videos to us. Hashtag Ask Nash.
Yeah, videos or if you happen to go. Look at her.
Begging to be hit from behind.
Pull that up. Can we pull her up? Yeah, she was better from a distance.
In a Daytona kind of way, maybe. I don't know. Oh God!
In an 18-pack, with 2 Bluechew in your belly.
Yeah. And all right, Pirates Cove.
I'm just curious. I saw one today that was just breathtaking.
Hashtag Ask Nash. That's how we could do this. Gladiator Scoops says, Nash, just wondering, at what point in your career would you say you were at your peak physically? So from a strength, fitness point of view, maybe even from an injury point of view. Cheers, big man. I don't know what injury point of view would be, but how about from strength and conditioning? When were you at your peak?
I was beat to shit my whole career. I came in crippled. I tell you when I was in really good shape, and I was blonde haired, big sexy. I was in good shape. I was strong. My shoulders were. I was around 330, 335. But I usually had, if I wasn't, I've got like a lot of pictures of me with abs in that era. I'd say I was in really good shape when I was like 50. I had long gray hair, and I was in
TNA.
Yeah, and I was in the Miami, the Main Event Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
I was watched a match, and I had, I was tight. My midsection was real tight because I think once I cut beer, I stopped drinking beer and switched to wine. And wine, I think that the gluten always kind of bloated me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once I switched to wine, which is also, had that natural diuretic, I think I stayed tighter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
There's some footage of you with the gray hair.
That's not bad, right? I'm in my mid 50s here.
Mid 50s. Christ.
I think once I got ready for that Magic Mike, I just I stayed in that groove.
You're looking so good. I feel like I'm not looking at a TNA stage. I feel like I'm looking at Pirates Cove.
I was going to say a Rock Hudson pool party, but
It's the same shit. 10 guys with shirts off. Fernum Schnavitz, what did you both think of the 80s ghost flicks? I was born in 1980 and loved horror movies. The one that scared me the most was The Entity. Any thoughts on these type films?
Haunting was a good one.
Haunting.
Remember The Haunting?
I do. The Changeling, I think was mid 80s also. Well, I don't know if I don't know if you consider The Omen. That's not really a ghost flick, right? That's more like a satanic possession flick.
Poltergeist was pretty. I mean, the first Poltergeist was pretty creepy.
It was, and pretty accessible too, because I think that was PG. So I think a lot of kids could get in and get the shit scared out of them,
right?
With that one. Any questions from the audience? Let's make sure we pay some mind to our friends who have signed up to be part of the inside track here at KliqThisTV.com. Some of the cool stuff they get us to ask questions like James Bedford. During your Mania 11 match against Heartbreak Kid, the rumor is that HBK deliberately botched the jackknife finish. In that moment, did you think to pick him up again and really lay one in? Thanks.
No. I mean, I knew it was the shits, but it was like the fact that I was covering him,
was enough.
Yeah, the fact that I was going into Mania with being the champion and going out, I mean, it just didn't happen. You didn't go into Mania and out of Mania as the champion. So the fact that I accomplished that with the amount of politicking going on by Sean,
right?
Well,
I did remember that you said that you guys, I guess, friendly rivalry, you'd call it. You'd do shit like get him in a chin lock and fold him in half and lay on him for 10 minutes.
Oh, I'd stick my fingers and try to stick his hair down his throat. Yeah, but that's just shit to fuck with each other.
Right.
I'd always lean on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else in the house here? What do we got?
What's it like he didn't run 100 miles an hour to blow me up?
Yeah, that's true, right? Jesus. Jen asks your favorite Pop-Tart flavor.
Always, I had two. Is
strawberry, I think.
Mine was the chocolate fudge ones. Always the frosted, the chocolate fudge, but my favorite were the brown sugar cinnamon frosted.
Ah, right. I like the fruity ones. I liked strawberry. I think it was strawberry.
It was always dessert for me. Like I used to when I ate pop, my T and I used to eat the chocolate ones at night with milk.
The all powerful milk. Have you ever tried a Pop-Tart? And what's your favorite thing? I'm sure the same question. Okay. Currently on a cookies and cream kick. See, I have never tried that.
No, they didn't have those when I was.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
My wife and my mother-in-law made a birthday cake for me. So when I came home, on it was supposed to get home Saturday night at 11 p.m. And I ended up getting home around 3 o'clock Sunday morning. And my wife had already went to bed. But when I came in the house, I had to turn the alarm off, and just that noise set the dog off. So she set the dog on the floor, and he ran down screaming. And then when I turned the kitchen light on, I wanted to put my bag on the TV room, and I looked, and on the counter was a cake, and they had baked me a German chocolate cake. And that's like my favorite.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't eaten sweets, and God, a buddy of mine, I went to a buddy of mine's house for dinner, Joey Biggs, and he gave me a key lime. I love key lime pie. So he gave me a key lime pie tart thing that was just, And the reason I don't eat that shit is because it's like heroin. Like you fucking, you could.
You keep
Could you
going.
imagine? Yeah, could you imagine if key lime pie was the equivalent of egg whites? Like you could eat like like a plate of egg, like you can eat a plate of egg whites like this, and all it does is just like does nothing. Could you imagine eating
Endless key lime pie. I had
yeah
key lime pie here for 4th of July.
yeah? I
Oh,
mean,
it
key
was
lime pie is just
amazing.
there's just nothing better.
And down
And the
by
thing
you,
is,
there's
like,
so much better.
name something that you can eat. Like name a dessert that beer goes with key lime pie. Like
Does it?
yeah, like a Corona and a key lime pie. When you put a lime in your Corona, what's the difference? You eat the damn thing, So last night she told me, she said, and I had a piece. We went out to dinner on my birthday, and we always go to Hyde Park, on my birthday. But this was, of course, my first birthday without tea, and I just as the day went on, it was like 4:00, 4:30, and I looked at Tamara and I said, I can't go to Hyde Park and sit and tea not be at the table and it be my birthday. I said, I'm not there yet. I said, let's just go. And a buddy of mine, Chris, owns Millie's, which is a
The seafood place, right?
yeah, the great little restaurant. I'll tell you a funny story about that in a second. So we went there but I came home and I had a piece of that German chocolate cake. So I always text Chris because there's a minimal amount of tables at Millie's, and they're always full. So I always text him. He goes, "Oh," he said, "You're coming in." He goes, "I can't wait to talk to you," because he's getting ready to open this pizza place. He goes, "Because I want to talk to you about this Detroit style pizza, and you'll be." So I get down there. We're talking. He goes, "So," I said, "Number one," I said, if you want to make a square pizza and call it Detroit pizza, you can knock yourself. I said, I said, obviously you don't listen to my podcast, because I said that's fucking. And I was looking at Instagram today, and there's a picture that said, "You haven't eaten pizza until you've eaten pizza in your car." And it was a Little Caesars, and there was a round pizza next to the gear shifter with pepperoni, and I went, not a square fucking pizza, a round pizza.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so last night, then she told me, like, I don't know what this ruling is in our house, but like, food can't sit around in the refrigerator. Like it's got to be thrown away. And she ate a piece of the German chocolate cake, and she didn't realize as she's gotten older that she gets like she's allergic to coconut. So like she was having a hard time breathing after like she had a couple of bites of it. So now there's like she wants that, because it was fucking delicious, and she wanted that shit out of the house. So last night I came home from the gym, and we had dinner, and then we hung out and watched TV. And I said, she said, you're gonna take the trash. I said, please, take the rest of that cake out. So I took the cake and I cut like that much of the top of it off, and then I cut like the middle of it out. So all it was the frosting with just a little bit of, it was like, and I put it in a bowl, and I made it was like German chocolate pudding. It was, and I tell you, it was tasty, even with a glass of Shiraz.
But the coconut was gone. Was the important thing. You scraped the coconut off.
I had to throw it away because I guess the coconut, but I didn't have a problem with the coconut.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it would have been in the house with her. She might have.
Yeah.
Contact allergy.
Might have been like when somebody has a peanut allergy and you're 33 rows up in first class eating a peanut. The chance you could just go into shock back there in 37B.
My wife has an allergy to walnuts and hazelnuts, and one of the bad ones. Like she's on the clock.
Mine's
3 minutes.
Mine's walnuts.
You have the walnut? Okay, so you know the deal. It's like, so we're in
It's
Little Italy.
tree nuts. So hers is those are tree nuts.
Yeah, but strangely though, like almonds, no allergy.
I don't have no. I ate walnuts because they're higher in protein. I ate them at Magic Mike, and I woke up in the middle of the night. My stomach was all bubbled up. I had like my gut was distended, and I went to the restroom, and there was blood in my stool.
Wow.
And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Sounds like a Rock Hudson documentary.
Yeah, and I'm saying, well, I don't feel dandy, and the I Googled, and it said that the tree nut was, that was, and one of the things was that you could, it was like colitis almost. I'm thinking, oh, great. I ate, 8 ounces of these fucking walnuts. And thank God the next day we were shooting, we had our shirts on.
Oh,
It took 2 days to get that, to get my stomach calm and flat. So.
Yeah, some places take it seriously, some don't. Like I was saying, the other night we were in Little Italy. We wanted to go to this place that was making their own pasta. They had some really authentic Italian pasta. So we go over and go to the tourist haven known as Little Italy. And we're sitting there eating. And one of the dishes we order is a pesto. And sometimes in pesto, they can use nuts. Usually it's pine nuts, which she's not allergic to. But sometimes they get a little crazy and put hazelnuts in there or something, which you can't have. She'll go into anaphylactic shock. So she says to the guy, she says, no nuts, right? He says, no nuts. Neapolitan recipe, no nuts. She says, all right, I can't have nuts. So she comes, we're eating, we're tasting each other's pasta. She eats the fucking pesto. She goes, it's got a nut. I said, are you kidding me? So I call the waiter, because now I got to find out what kind, because there's some that are worse than others. Like walnuts and hazelnuts are the two bad ones. I called him over. I said, there's a nut. He's like, no nuts. I said, you got to go into the kitchen now. So first she asked to talk to the chef. He's like, oh, he's busy. Yeah, obviously every chef is busy, but we got a problem here. I said, you got to find out what kind of nut is in there. He goes and he comes out. He goes, he shaved a little walnut on this one. Thank you very much. So she goes into the bath. She's got to get it up right away. So she goes into the bathroom, makes herself throw up. I run across the street to get her a Benadryl. Turns out we avert disaster, but yeah, got to be careful with that stuff. Mark Capps.
It's always a nice way to, go out and to dinner. Then,
beautiful night. Yeah. So we left the restaurant, and I said, "What would you like for dinner, honey?" Because
exactly.
It's left.
You'll get a double quarter pounder with cheese.
They covered the whole thing, which was nice. They said, "Don't," the waiter wouldn't even take a tip from me.
That was awfully sweet of them.
Yeah, I know. After a near-death experience,
but they did request $250 for the anniversary.
The anniversary party in the back
of the owner's parents next weekend.
She could try that every once in a while. If the bill gets a little too crazy, I'm going to have her just do the nut thing on the floor. My daughter ordered a goddamn truffle. It was made in a Parmesan wheel, like half dug out, a giant wheel of Parmesan. They throw the pasta. They light some vodka on fire. Then they throw it in to melt the cheese. Then they throw the pasta in, and they shave truffle. It was $65 entree she ordered. So if any night where she's going to have the allergy, could have been that.
It was a good one.
Another night that would have come in handy, we were eating at the Flying Fish in Disney on the boardwalk. And it was the day before they opened the NBA experience at Disney. So dining there was Bob Iger and what's his name? Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. Yeah. They were sitting there together. And they were great. They talked to us and we said hi and all that stuff. I said, Nicole, I wasn't thinking. You should have, because there was a nut incident that night. She didn't eat it, but she told them she had an allergy, but they served her something and she caught a nut in it. I said, Nicole, you could have taken one for the team, fell right next to Bob Iger's table, clutch your throat. You could have backed the fucking Brinks truck up to the house. It would have been over. I told them no nuts. Mark Capps says, what was Bob Nash's 4th of July extravaganza like? Nothing going on back there in the yard? Cookouts, fireworks, what?
I mean, I'm sure we had cookouts. I remember as a kid, you got a sparkler. You know, something
Oh,
nice
he's
like
just
that.
standing there.
Yeah, it was just nice and quiet. You know, fucking something nice and quiet. Sit there and have your fucking scotch, smoke your cigarette, and let the fucking three little rugrats run around the fucking 40 by 60 front yard with a sparkler. What? It's you know what? I'm sorry,
Your
my
Uncle Jerry put the sparkler where upstairs?
my my fucking wife was talking to one of her friends the other day, and I heard her, and they were saying something because we've got people in our house, you know, fixing everything, and now they're going to start down here soon at the condo, and they made a reference to like, well, doesn't Kevin do anything? You know, and she's like, no, see, Kevin's dad taught him when he was a little boy that
Someone's
there's,
got to work.
there's a guy called a painter, and and she gave him the whole fucking run through. And she got off the phone. I said, fucking well done. I hope that bitch fucking learned something. Did you
Yeah.
tell her we don't fucking pay for our anniversaries either?
You either wield a hammer or a checkbook. You got to be good at using one or the other.
Yeah, you can
Who
either
else in the house? I don't want to ignore anyone here.
you can either fucking take bumps or fucking, you know, get underneath and change the oil. But you can't do both.
Right. Any questions in the house? I don't want to ignore anyone. Headingite says, hey, Kev, do you have any stories about the Kowloon Restaurant in Boston? They are closing soon, and I know the boys loved it there.
Is that like the Japanese steakhouse place that used to be it used to be years ago, the Howard Johnson's?
I'll wait for confirmation. So I guess you've eaten there.
Well, we used to go to August Moon too. That was out in Revere. Kowloon, I don't know. I don't. I'm not sure the reference.
Is that it?
Oh, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there before. I'm not a huge
Japanese or was it
it's
Chinese or Japanese?
Chinese.
Chinese.
Yeah, I'm not a. In the immortal words of Scott Steiner, "What the fuck would we eat Chinese for? You ever see a Jack Chinaman?" So
I guess.
it's like that guy in those fucking Van Dams was pretty big, but what do I know?
What else we got in the house? Anything? Mark DZ, how you feeling, big guy? You hit the gym today?
Yeah, I did. I trained yesterday, and I guess these stem cells are starting to work because, like, I've been able to train a little bit heavier on my chest, and my shoulders haven't been killing me. Like I was usually doing chest on Tuesdays, and then I'd have to take today off because I had this, and I would sit down here, and I don't know if people have noticed or not, but like there's like I'm like some of the shows I'm like I'm just I'm in pain,
Right.
and so today I'm tired. I'm sore as fuck, but it's not like uh joint soreness, is muscle soreness. So I'm like really like God, like almost like a cyst. Like my chest is tight as fuck. So
Well, that ties into Joshua's question, who wrote in, and he said, what's a typical Nash leg day look like?
all right, typical leg day is and now I really have to I got to get on the floor. I got to stretch. I got to get the fucking roller. I got to stretch my IT bands. I got to do my fucking lower back. Then I got to go without knee sleeves on, and I got to do like 40 pounds leg extensions for 50 reps. Work my way up to 100 pounds, and I do like 20 reps. Then I put my knee sleeves on. Then I start leg presses, and we have a Body Masters leg press. So my first set is 245s on each side for 30. Then I put another wheel on each side. I do that for 20 to 30. 4 plates, 20. 5 plates 20, 6 plates 20, 7 plates 20, and then I switch my feet positioning. I take a plate off. I actually take 2 off, so I got 10 plates on total, and I put my heels on because those are all low, as low as I can go. Like if this is the foot gimmick, I go there, and then the next I move my feet up here. So I do 5 plates. I do 3 sets. My feet a little bit closer, so I'm hitting more loose hamstrings, and I do 3 sets of 20 there. Then I go to a yellow straight press machine. You guys have probably seen that on Instagram because that's usually a finishing, but it's a good looking machine when you film on it because it gets all the cuts on the side of your legs. And I superset that back with extensions for 4 sets. And then my last thing I do is I do stiff-legged, 3 sets of stiff-legged deadlifts and 3 sets of one leg curls. And by then, like fucking 90 pounds, one-legged leg curls are killer for 12. And then
How long does this take you?
Got
to be over an hour.
Oh yeah, like I'll do legs tomorrow. It'll be like an hour and 15. Before, I mean, but I look at the clock when I do my first warm-up set. And then I try to I want it to be out of there in an hour because I want to keep my intensity up. But as I'm getting older, man, with those heavies, that's 7 plates for 20, which isn't very, I mean, there's guys that blast through that shit there's girls on videos that fucking do 7 plates on the side for 20 reps.
Wow.
But, for me, I just, in my mind, because I know that I got the bionic right knee, but that left quad that I tore, I still always wonder, like, God, if I retore that with that much weight on, and I train alone, so I mean, I'd be back to if I could die probably. So, but if I go to there's another gym I go to, and the leg press. So I went there and I said, I'll just try training legs here. And they've got like a squat machine. That's the closest thing to a squat that I can do. And it's got a really good feel, but I almost like, I feel like a lot of abdominal strain like coming out of the hole because I've always been flexible, so I go deep. So when I come out of the hole, it's like I feel abdominal pain. I'm thinking like, man, if I'm getting a hernia at my age or something like that, so I got to wear belts, and then that's fucking a pain in the ass. But the leg press, like the first time I used it, I put 2 plates on each side. And I did it. And I was just like, oh fuck, man, I'm dying of some disease. Like, why is it so fucking heavy? And I looked at the bottom of it, and the leg press empty was 172 pounds.
Oh my God.
So with no weights on it whatsoever, it was 172 pounds. I would probably think ours is 70. So already, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm just going to rattle this. I'm just like, fuck. So that's my leg day.
All right.
Not Tom Platz-ish, but I mean.
Well, you have a good leg day tomorrow.
Thank you.
I will salute you as my ship pulls out of port on the way to Bermuda. I'd like to remind everyone that Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat. Producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson, theme song by Dale Oliver, technical research by Tristan Nash, copyright 2023, Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, you want to do another?
I mean, if I can get away from that pool party.
Hop on.